Hello and welcome to MotorInc First. We have missed a milestone along the way. Did you know this?
The 100.
Yeah, somebody on Circles pointed it out. They said, I looked it up and you're well past 100. You didn't even say anything.
Well, cool. Nice to know.
Thank you so much for telling us that we passed the 100th episode. And this is, I think, 104 or 5 or something like this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hmm.
Well over then.
That means Karthik and I have been talking about new vehicles for well over 110, 20 hours since we started.
Easily, man.
That is awesome.
It's been fun.
To me, it's a privilege. And now let's move on to the car of the day. What are we talking about, Karthik?
Harrier EV.
Is this the one that dragged a tank along or something?
Yeah.
It has ATAS,
8S.
Hmm.
What is that?
automated tank assistance system. So if a tank breaks down, then you can take a Harrier EV and drag it out of trouble.
Clearly, it's got that. It's got that.
So where did you go to drive this, and what's the car like?
All right. So, one thing I'm going to say up front, which we did the last time the wrong way around, where we said this is going to be a short conversation, and then we stretched it out nice. Let me say this time that I don't think this is going to be a short conversation because we have to talk a lot more, not just about the Harrier, but I think the EV landscape and some of the confusions or distractions that end up happening in this space now.
Sure.
And therefore, hopefully, you'll be able to make better decisions at the end of this. Harrier EV, we went to drive, was in the NCR region. We were in Faridabad, Surajkund specifically. And the Harrier, there's lots of stuff that I want to discuss, which is why I'm going to take my time with this. First and foremost, I think I'd like to bring up that now I know what it feels like being one of those people who've had no issues with their Tatas. Let's take that up right up front. Okay? Because I went through my drive and everything just worked. Everything just worked. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I mean, that step has been made, right? And I was genuinely pleased about it. And I think everybody was kind of surprised because in the feedback session where you give talk to the engineers and stuff, there was like this pause at the end of the conversation, and I was like, I got nothing more to add. This is it. I've discussed what the car did, and there's nothing else for me to discuss. Nothing went wrong. And so I was really happy about it. But then I realized that there were a couple of things that I kind of missed. And these are small things. So let's get them out of the way right at the start. The screen did not boot up. And so the car that I was supposed to drive was swapped out at the last minute. And so this one hadn't had the logins done and all of that. I don't know what. So it took a little bit of time to do that. And while that process was being started, right at the start, the screen did not boot up. And I learned how it can be reset through that process. So on the steering wheel, on the left hand side, the leftmost button on the top, you got to hold that down, I think, for about 10 seconds. And then you switch to the other button and hold that down. And then the screen reboots. Okay.
So Control Alt Delete.
Yeah. So the control delete for the infotainment software. And it's connected to the display as well. So that was one thing. And the other thing that happened while I was driving was that the rear left TPMS sensor, I'm guessing, just fell off internally. It just because it stopped giving readouts. All the other readouts were coming. This one readout stopped. So aside from that, nothing else happened. As I realized that in that case, I was the lucky one. I realized that Gagan and Vikas, both of them had issues, the same kind of issues with the screen, where it hung, froze. But for them, in their case, it was while they were driving, so they stopped getting the feed from the 360-degree camera when needed and all. So definitely an inconvenience. Now, with that out of the way, let's do some of the easy stuff. Okay.
Okay.
You can easily say that this Harrier is the best Tata on sale. You could say it's the best Tata EV on sale. And in that, I will be absolutely clear that up until now, the Punch EV has been my
Correct.
go-to EV.
That's the one you appreciated
Yeah,
most.
because I like that new platform. I like how it all has been integrated into it. I like how it drives. And while it's small, the practicality of it is solid. But the Harrier EV now gives you that more all-round car feel because it's a bigger car, bigger battery, more range, all of that. So it can very easily be called the best Tata EV that you can buy.
Okay.
they have also got the value equation right. Because if I have to think about this now, we will not dive deep into variants because this time there are only 5 or 6, something like that. That's
No.
it. Yeah, seriously.
It stops valuing my fun, yeah.
Yeah. See, they've been listening. So they've really shrunk down the variants. And even the base variant, right, is excellent. It's really well equipped. And the prices start at some 21.5 lakh rupees. And they have 2 battery packs. One is the 65 kilowatt hour and the other is the 75 kilowatt hour. So it starts at 21.5 lakh rupees. And there's a mid-spec variant. I think it's Empowered Plus. I don't know. I'll put the name up. The names I get confused with. So there's
Empower is a BMW brand, no? Oh, this is Empower. Sorry, my mistake.
or Fearless, one of the two. I keep forgetting what the sequence of the variants is. But the mid-spec variant, which is available, and a good thing, with both the battery packs,
Okay.
65 and 75, is available for 25 lakh rupees, and the equipment on it is everything that you want and need. Everything above that is not required. Those are just, I would say, those are the gimmicks above it, except for the one thing which is only available in the top spec variant, which is the all-wheel drive system, which is what we drove, as Tata calls it, QWD, quad wheel drive. So the good thing is that that mid-spec variant is a solid variant. You don't need to go above that. And at 25 lakh rupees, it's a lot of car. You're definitely getting a lot of car. And if you remember, Mahindra, when they came out with their electrics,
The BE6
the
and the XEV, you
BE6,
mean?
the XEV90, they really set benchmarks in terms of what they were offering by way of equipment, by way of the price on offer, the core battery pack, motor performance, all of that, right? So Tata, I'm sure, learned from that and have been able to deliver good value with this. Is it as feature loaded as the Mahindras? No, right? The Mahindra has many more things like, the dancing lights and this and that. And what I want to say here as well is, and this is one of the things that we should talk about, is that these are the things that are distractions for you. These are the things that are gimmicks, and don't let them sway your purchase decision.
Yep.
Stay focused on what you really need with a vehicle, because these are all, you can think of them as beta bits of technology. No, they are
They
beta
are.
bits of technology, because technology like this software is super complicated. You can think of it as, hey, it's just you're writing code, but how it interacts with all the various different components, the reliability of it, these are all question marks until
Yep.
and unless it is all ironed out.
Yep.
You don't know where it's going to sit, right?
That's why your engine in an IC doesn't need an OTA update, but the software
It's
does.
tried and tested. It's done.
Yeah. No, I'll give you an example of the Mahindra thing. I have that neighbor I told you about, the Mercedes Benz with the ribbons. He's now bought an XCV90, and the other day I was in my balcony with my cup of coffee and I was looking down, and he parked his car after dark. And he locked his car and he walked off. And then the roof had a pattern in it.
Yeah.
He wasn't there to see it, and he's not tall enough to see it. Okay. So then he's walking and he goes into his building and the headlights are still on. Okay, follow me home lights. By the time he reaches his home, now the butterfly logo is illuminated and it's still there. And I was like, this song and dance, I can understand its value on the showroom floor.
Yeah.
Saying, look, this car will continue to do its item number after you lock the car and you walk away. But for what? The guards in the building, in the real world, as opposed to the showroom.
I think we're going to end up discussing all the peripheral conversations that I wanted to have first before we actually get to that.
No, we'll get to the car. I'm just going to say that the motorcycle guys, in fact, I'm really upset with them now, because now I want like LED lights on my side stands. Right? So when I finish riding the bike and I turn it off and the LED stand is deployed, then there should be a light and dance show.
I thought you wanted a motorized side stand.
That would be awesome. But that's only for EVs, because you can't do these things in ICs. That's all EVs.
Cool. So
Okay. Upshot of driving the Harrier, did you enjoy the drive experience?
okay, so we're jumping there.
Yeah. No, because we'll do the peripherals at the end. It's not fair to drag this along.
Okay. Yes, I did.
Nice.
I did. And I am pleasantly surprised. Actually, it's not a surprise considering who Tata is and what their value sets are as a brand. I'm not surprised with what they have done with the Harrier EV. Because on paper, when I had seen the specs of it, right, with the two-motor, the all-wheel drive version that we've driven.
Cute wheel. No. What is it?
Quad-wheel drive.
Quad wheel drive. My mistake.
So that,
Dude, what if they had a motor in the spare wheel also?
what for, please?
Penta wheel drive. PWD.
Okay. And we have to talk about the spare wheels as well.
Oh, centrally controlled penta wheel drive. CPWD.
What does that? Okay.
Actually, it's the Central Public Works Department. Doesn't sound good at all.
And you PW. Okay. Back to the car. So, where were we, man?
You were talking about how you really enjoyed the car and it talks to the values and
Yeah.
of the Tata brand, as it were.
Correct. So when I saw the brochure and you read 240 horsepower from the rear motor, 160 horsepower from the front motor, and you think, man, that's totaling up to 400 horsepower
And electric.
and electric.
That means 500 horsepower at least.
And one of their claims is, that's a good point, because electric horsepower, we'll always say, is like at least 30-40% more potent than ICE horsepower. Because it's all...
Correct. No, and in fact, you should know that when the challenge of making an electric powertrain is they have to tune it down rather than tune it, as it were, because the motor is able to produce peak torque as soon as you go.
Yeah.
And so if you, let's say, take the software control out of it and say, here's a one-to-one connection, the car would basically be unusable. You get on the throttle, it go to peak torque and everything is just spinning. You have no control over this process.
So that was a concern, because I think with EVs, which are heavy, and this also, my estimation is, the battery pack weights haven't been given, but this is about 600 or 500 kilograms, depending on battery pack, right? Is 500, 600 kilograms heavier than the diesel. So which means this is near about 2,300 kilograms and 2,200 kilograms, depending on the variant.
At that weight level, we'll still discuss it in kilograms, and now we're in the tons territory.
Yeah, you could do that as well. Because I was thinking there's 2,355 and 22, something like that. And the Harrier diesel is about 1,700 something, right? So it's a much heavier car. And that's the constant theme with EVs. They are heavier and they are quicker, which is a crazy combination in terms of managing the performance, making the car clean and safe to drive, right?
Yep.
It is a challenge. While the weight sits low, it is a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So that was a question mark, like, would this feel too much for our roads? And that's what Tata has done. And I think great work there, because they've shown that maturity of saying, let's make this usable irrespective of which mode you're in. So this top spec version gets the 3 usual modes: Eco, City, and Sport.
Okay.
But it also has a mode above that called Boost. And let's talk about Eco, City, and Sport. Eco, very clean to drive, easy in the city, enough performance as well. It doesn't feel sluggish or anything like that. City is, of course, that blend of I can do anything. While it's called City, I think you'd be fine on the highway with it as well. It's not like you need to move to sport mode to spend time on the highway. And we did a lot of different scenarios. We did.
But in city mode, it feels like a 400 bhp car.
Good point. Good question. No, it does not.
Because I'm assuming these are full power modes with the throttle response is tapered back.
Okay. Great question as well. It does not feel like a 400 bhp car, even in city mode, nor in sport mode, and nor in boost mode, because it's not a 400 bhp car. Because the motors don't work at peak performance parallelly. So you never get 400 bhp at one time. The peak power, and also because of the battery pack is 75 kilowatt hours. So the peak draw that they can get from it to feed these two motors, it would require a bigger battery pack, right? So the actual peak horsepower that you get from this is about 313 horsepower, right?
Which again is electric, so it's not a small amount.
Yeah, and it's more than what the BE6 has, it's more than what the 9E has, and which is what Mahindra's made a big, Tata's spoken a lot about, that this is quicker, so its acceleration 0 to 100 claimed is 6.3, and I think the Mahindras are 6.6 or something in that region, so it's quicker than them also. So when you look at those figures and you sit in the car, you think this is going to be crazy fast, right? But they have tuned it differently, and all the modes are easy to drive. Even when you go to sport mode, you don't think that this is, oh wow, this is crazy quick or something like that. It just feels punchier. It feels more willing. So I automatically thought of it as a good highway mode for when you're traveling with a family and you want to drive quickly, make quick overtakes and stuff. It will be really helpful there. The Harrier EV only starts to feel properly wild in the boost mode.
Okay.
So the boost mode is where you get the full horsepower that you can get from the 313 PS. And interestingly, what we were told by Anand Kulkarni, who heads product development, was that in boost mode, actually, the rear motor can even deliver a little bit more for a short duration.
So the boost mode has a boost mode.
Yeah, the boost mode has. So, which is why initially what I thought of the boost mode was like how Mahindra did the boost mode, where it's a button and you toggle it on and it's available for a few seconds. That's not the case. The boost mode is like, let's say, the Aether's, what is that?
Warp.
Warp mode. So, it's available to you anytime you want, depending on state of charge. Now, my catch for this boost mode was that it's only available between 50 to 100% SOC. So if the battery is between 50 and 100% charge, only then is it available. Under that, it's not available.
And usually this means that the heat control on the battery has a strain point, which in the bottom three modes is not an issue at all. You do whatever you want. Boost mode will generate enough heat for the liquid cooling system to not be able to cool the battery effectively enough for the entire SOC charge. So the assumption is you're coming down from 100 to 50 in boost, you're creating heat in the system. And at 50, the system says between the drop in range that has happened and between how much heat is in the battery right now, this is done. This is even worse on electric two-wheelers, so I'm not even surprised because they don't have the advantage of liquid cooling because they don't want the complication. And air-cooled batteries are just much harder to control.
Correct. And in this, you asked about the horsepower differences across the modes. They are not all the same. So you get peak in boost. Under that in sport, it's slightly lower. What those exact figures are, I'm going to put them up on a table here. Tata did share those details with us. And it's interesting to see how they've worked it out. And I want you to now kind of understand how this car drives in terms of how they've got that maturity of the driving experience. Because it is interesting. Like even in sport mode, when you accelerate, when you say, I want hard acceleration, it starts accelerating. It almost is like, do you really want it? Is the question that you get.
It's a dialogue box.
So
Are you sure about this?
Yeah. So there's that, it allows you to have that second to lift off if you want to, right? If you stay in, if you're still accelerating, then the torque starts coming on strong, right? So they've given you this window of opportunity to correct. So otherwise it would feel really sharp, right? Because it has 500 Newton meters of torque, something like that. So they've given this the latitude that it can be driven conveniently, easily by people who are not so experienced also.
Got it.
And I think that flexibility to build into the car and the way it drives was important. It's the responsible way of doing it, and I'm glad for that because I don't want more EVs running around going wild with the performance.
So since you called this mature, the BE6 and XEV versus this will not be as mature?
So that's an interesting question because I think that power delivery characteristic or how wild it can feel is fine for the BE6, which is this small racy looking thing. Whereas the XEV90 is like a larger and a more everybody car, right? Like I expect somebody buying a BE6 is saying that I want something sporty. And then you have to expect it to be sporty. That's how it should be. Whereas the XEV90 is the more Sahab car, right? It's a more family car.
And need not do all of this.
It need not be, you can have that. But like with the boost mode delivers, right? It's managing to be that quick. But the other modes are all calmed down. And I think that and it's that initial throttle that you want to be slightly softer.
Got it.
So that there is a window of opportunity to make corrections if needed, right?
Got it. So the Tata is more all-wheel drive.
Tata is more
all-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive, yes. Yes, correct. That was the one aspect of it, which I was happy to see.
Right.
The other thing is this car I've been seeing on the Mumbai-Pune Expressway. Testing for ages. And invariably, you turn up behind it. And the one thing I noticed on it, when you look at it, especially at night, I think I have a photo or a video of it somewhere on my phone. I'll try and get that when it was in camo and everything. the one thing you notice is the rear suspension. Okay, it's got massive arms. That subframe has got gigantic bolts because this has been redesigned now. Like the Harrier has a non-independent suspension. It's a twist beam style suspension setup, a simple one, right? This is independent all round. It needed to be beefed up because of the additional weight, the
Right.
additional performance, torque coming from the rear, also front. Now all of that, right?
But is there a change at the platform level itself?
So that's going to be another part of the conversation. This platform is uh, massively modified, right? Tata will say that this is an all-new platform, and in some ways you can say sure, because the floor pan is different. The side sills have been reinforced to better perform in crash tests for side pole impact.
Because now they have to protect the battery also.
Correct. And what they said was that it has to be able to absorb and not transfer the loads into the battery, because that's when you'll have trouble. Same for the front. Like the front has also been strengthened. The floor, like I said, was flat. So they've actually, what they said was that the chassis, the rigidity of it, when you plug the battery back in, is even higher than some other cars that you can compare with. So they have had to redo how the chassis itself is.
Right.
Is it so? This is going to be that other conversation about born EVs versus modified, and I think what you as consumers need to remember is that, or buyers, where you're spending your money, is you have to look at your benefit. What are you getting out of it? Whether it's a born EV or it's a modified EV or whatever it may be, is it working for you? Is it delivering the experience that you want? Right?
Correct.
Is it giving you the numbers that you want? Correct? And in that regard, this is not a born EV, as many people will say. It's not a born EV. I don't care what it is. I care about what it does. And in that sense, in the backseat, a non-born EV, which has been modified to accommodate a battery pack, has better headroom than a born EV, like the 9E. Right? Both can be comfortable, but the space and all is not exceptionally better in the born EV versus the modified EV. Right? There are compromises, but we've seen these compromises with most EVs, born EVs or not, and which is the under thigh support, right? That is a compromise we've seen with born EVs as well. It's a compromise here as well. So if you notice, if you step outside, this car is 20 mm taller than the Harrier EV. That's because it's been raised.
20 mm taller than the Harrier.
Sorry, Harrier ICE. Yeah, 20 mm taller than the Harrier ICE. That's because the car has also been raised 20 mm. And then the floor in the cabin is also raised 20 mm because that's the space that's been liberated for the battery pack.
Right.
So the battery pack is sitting underneath, and that consumes space. And that's a challenge for all cars to accommodate. Now, in the Harrier's case, it has raised the floor. And so the Harrier, which is one of my favorite Tatas, because I think that what it's doing inside the cabin is special. Its backseat has been a highlight for me. And after the facelift, I think they improved the experience in the car dramatically, where it became smoother, it became modern, it became cool, all of that. And the backseat was definitely very impressive, spacious, supportive, all of that. So somewhere, and this is the thing with EVs, that you never get an EV, whether it's born EV, modified EV, whatever. I am yet to come up and drive an EV where you say, this is just better than ICE. The performance is there, it's better, it's a different experience. But is it flat out better than an ICE?
So far, no.
So far, no. Because all those promises that you'll have, because it will be flat floor, because the motors will be small and they'll be tucked away in one corner, you'll get so much volume on the inside, space on the inside, and comfort will be maximized.
It happens to all the concept electric vehicles.
Correct. So in the concepts, you'd see those lounge-like cars with massive space and everything. But that's not happened yet. For whatever reason, whether us as consumers, whatever it may be that we cannot accept those shape of cars, it has not happened yet.
Right.
And so with every EV that we drive, we realize that yes, it's gone EV, but there are some fundamental compromises that you have to live with, and you will find them. No matter which ones up till now that we've driven, that you will find something. The closest car that comes to talking about maximizing the EV scenario is the Windsor with its mono volume design, right? It does open up a lot of space on the inside for passengers, luggage, all of that. but it has its compromises in terms of suspension setup. It has to be firm because of the battery weight,
Correct.
and all those kind of things that roll in over there. So yeah, so in this, the Harrier has kind of traded down on that excellence that it had in terms of passenger comfort. If you're taller, you will feel it more for sure, whether you're in the front or in the back, because the floor is a little bit higher. These are the small things that you end up realizing, because like when I sat in the car and I started adjusting the seats, I realized again it took me a little bit longer, right? Because I'm just like, nah, something little bit.
My legs are not fitting in properly.
Something where you go to your default setting and you're like, no, I need to fine tune, and you get there, you find something that works, but does it have that same kind of immediate comfort and that I'm at home? It's slightly changed from that. So taller people, if you're a tall family, you have to check out the front and the back to see how it works for you.
There is a kind of EV that you can get which has no compromises at all.
Tell me.
It's called the ICEV, internal combustion engine vehicle. No, but as much as I'm making a joke about it, I want you to understand the point that he made. What he's basically saying is you will be distracted in the electric world by a lot of unnecessary information that is designed to convert into a sale. This is how the process works right now. And this is not just true for vehicles. Everywhere where there is new technology, these distractions occur because this is a way to attract your attention. In the EV world, you're going to see a lot of gimmickry, which in the ICE world is not required because that proposition is better understood natively by you because we've been familiar with it for 100 plus years. So these distractions will occur and you have to figure out which of these gimmicks actually make a difference to your life. Like for example, if you do carry a cup of coffee with you into the car on your way to work every day, then a cup holder actually makes a difference to you. But if you don't do that because you don't like coffee or whatever, then that cup holder being there or not is not really going to make a difference to you unless somebody else in your family carries a cup of coffee with you. You have to solve each of these things for yourself. Second, the silence of an EV, amazing. The performance of EVs can be amazing. But does the math work out for you is something that you have to figure out. Because it's not like if you buy a petrol, a diesel or an electric, you will suddenly drive a different distance on the average year. Not until something fundamentally changes in your lifestyle. And if you don't drive enough, then the extra that you paid for an EV may not ever work out. And you have to do this calmly and rationally first and say, I am at the border of an EV will work for me, so let me consider them. I am nowhere close to what an EV wants to do and I want to do, so I shouldn't consider them, whatever your solution is. But pay attention to the real stuff. Ride quality is real. It's not easy to solve. Space inside the cabin is real. It's not easy to solve. How a steering feels in your hand and do you enjoy that feeling? It's not easy to solve. These are built into vehicles by platform. If you don't solve this for yourself, you will end up with something that you don't enjoy as much as you should. That's it.
So the suspension, despite the weight, the one thing that hit home was that you don't feel the weight when you're going over broken sections.
And this is a completely new setup.
Yeah, this is completely new. They have those frequency selective dampers and all of that.
What does that mean?
Basically, it adjusts according to the road conditions.
So semi-active.
This is not electronic. It's a mechanical system, but it allows the system to adjust depending on the speed of the vehicle, the speed of the suspension movement, those kind of things.
Okay.
So it rides well. It's the point that I was saying was that when you expect to feel the weight, you don't.
Nice.
And that's the really cool part. Like when you're going over some of the broken roads and you expect to feel it going top. No.
Nice.
It just goes over it lightly. And I was harsh with the car. I took it again to Leopard Trail. The Leopard Trail has been surfaced over, so most of the roads there are smooth, but there are some broken patches, and there are those lovely speed breakers. And I was happy to note that what we experienced with the curve, where you'd get that feeling every now and then, or going over broken stuff, did not happen with the Harrier. I actually, there'll be shots of it when I'm sitting in the back, when I'm driving it, and I have basically not braked for the speed breakers at different speeds. I was trying to recreate a scenario where something like that would happen. Nothing.
Great.
If anything, yes, you felt the suspension drop because you've literally gone over the speed breaker.
Right.
But that's it. Nothing untoward.
Nice.
And if you drive like normal people would, like at a more rational pace over broken roads, it actually feels velvety.
Nice.
Yeah, it actually feels velvety. So the ride and the weight from that aspect has been handled well. And handle, this car does well too.
Okay.
Like, so again, on those roads where it's narrow, I was surprised by how much confidence you got from the front end of this car. I was like, imagine if you're going into a corner and you're braking, or you're going into a corner and you're accelerating. So you're putting a lot of more load into the front wheels than you should for a corner, right?
Effectively, you're driving badly.
Yeah. And you find that it still tracks cleanly, which means it still holds its line. It doesn't get bothered by these inputs, which is not to say that you go in and pat.
So it doesn't get harried by your bad driving.
Yeah, it doesn't. It didn't get harried by my bad driving. So that was a very nice and positive feel. The difference was, through all of this, until I sat in the back, I thought from a comfort standpoint, when I was driving and I was looking in the mirror, I thought that the rear was moving a bit, right? And I thought, that's not a good thing. That's probably going to make it uncomfortable. But when I spent time in the back, which I did, and I tried, and I found that it was better than I had expected, what it had seemed like.
Right.
And so much so that I said that this has to then be put to the next level of test, which is to say, can I work while I'm sitting in the back seat?
Okay.
So I got the laptop out and I started writing, and it worked just fine. So the car, can I say it's a clean and flat riding car? No, it has a bit of movement. It does a little bit of this sway, but it's nothing that I can complain about.
Nice.
Okay. Similarly, I think the one thing that I wanted to say upfront was, when we started with the electronic bugs and stuff like that, in this entire story, if I think about issues or things that I can point out which could have been better, do any of them push into the zone of being deal breakers? No. I don't think I have anything on this car which to me is a deal breaker. So like this ride aspect, okay, it's there. What is it a problem? No, it's not. It's fine. Even the way it drives, there is a particular condition, like let's say flowing traffic, slower flowing traffic, not stop go. There you'll find that you can kind of feel the motor come in and out. You
Right.
can feel that happening. But is it a deal breaker? No. Can you feel it all the time? No. Because when you're at higher speeds, you're on the throttle more, you're not going on and off so much, so you don't feel it. Similarly, in stop-go traffic, you don't feel it as apparently. And in different modes, I tried it. It's there, but it's fairly in the background. It takes time for you to notice it and pick up on it.
Got it.
Right? So there are small things which Tata can do to make this feel fantastic and not just great, right? Where you would say that this is polished, right? That this is just plain flat out polished. Those refinements and improvements can and should happen. I think those should happen. But as is, the product works, right? The one catch in this driving business was not the clutching, I mean the feel of the motor. When you're driving hard, and this is again a common pain point with EVs, I'm realizing more and more, are the brakes. They have bite, but the pedal travel is so much, and the pedal doesn't have that progression, right, in terms of weight. So it's literally like you just push it in. That's all you got to do. I mean, there's no gradation in that. There's nothing. You just go all in, right? And so you don't feel in control. I think that's my problem with it.
Right.
You don't know when it's going to. It's just like, okay, slam it and let it do its thing.
How much electronics are built into the brake system for regen and stuff?
So this is not a brake by wire. This is a mechanical system which will then blend the regen braking and the mechanical braking that way. So this is not
A preset, multiple presets. One preset?
for brakes. Brakes just one. Oh, good you brought that up. There are presets available for the steering in this car. There's a custom mode also, and the custom mode allows you to set it up however you want, and that's the only place where you get to change the steering settings also. I did not try it. I will try it. when we get the car for test. This is the same thing we saw with the Windsor EV also. But when I spoke to Tata, they said we have some latitude to correct this, to change that feel. So let's see.
Okay.
They said that there is something that can be done with this. So with the suspension, again, on the handling front, while the front feels really nice and sharp, right? Like it feels precise, not sharp, I would call it precise. It feels clean. The rear can have a little bit of movement to it. And I did ask Tata whether couldn't they have gone a little bit firmer on the rear. They said we actually tried, but then it got that firmness. The example that they gave was when you go over rumble strips, you know how cars can feel shifty
Yeah.
when you're going fast. So that tendency happened. So we chose to stay with a slightly softer setup so that it's a cleaner driving car overall. So okay, fine. But for people general usage, this is going to be a good clean car to drive, even in terms of the dynamics of it. But the one thing I will not dismiss is that you have to remember that this is a heavy car. You have to remember that that weight is sitting all down low, which means the inertia is there. Changing that is hard, which is why the brakes have to work harder.
Correct.
And when I was being chauffeured around so that I could get the backseat experience, the gentleman who was driving, he was not from Delhi, Gurgaon, Faridabad. He had also come from Mumbai. So he didn't know the roads that we were on. And on Leopard Trail, there's this one corner which is a sharp right. And I noticed that it was kind of rainy, gloomy, and also there was sand there. So I was being very careful there. Whereas he was coming in quicker into the corner than I would have, knowing that there's sand there. And in the back of your head, you're just like, no, you don't want to take chances here because then there's a drop off, right?
Your feet are going into the imaginary firewall in the second row.
So I was just like, and I also don't want to interrupt him because if he's finding it okay to drive, let's see, right? And it wasn't wild. Like he was just going a little bit quicker than I would have done in that scenario. So when his name was Farid, yeah. So I was telling Farid that next time go slowly from here, right? So those are the things that you have to manage and you have to be watchful of. You have ESP to save you in some of those scenarios, but if you go into a slide, trying to catch these cars, trying to manage that weight then is super tricky. It's not a situation I want to be in. I have been in one of those situations and ESP was the thing that saved me. If it were, and I had room, that was the good fortune there. If you don't have the room, like in this case, narrow road, drop off, right? So please remember that. The performance is great. The ability of these cars will be great. But you will have to show some amount of restraint, especially in unfamiliar conditions. Okay? Which brings us to all the tech stuff. So it has auto park.
Auto park?
Yeah.
Means?
Which means...
Bhaiya, gaadi please laga do.
You tell the computer in the car and it parks for you. Okay, so which means it has a system when you choose that, it starts identifying parking spots into which the car can drive itself in.
But how far can it possibly look?
It's got a 360-degree cam, right? So it's got a fair field. So you have to drive around, right? It's not like you can see that parking spot over there and says, wahan pe acha spot hai. It's not that. As you're driving along, it'll identify possibilities where you could park the car. So let's say in a 2-car distance, it can identify slots.
So you're driving at what, 3, 4, 5 kmph at this point?
Slowly. Whatever you do in a park.
Who do you know who looks for parking slots at 2, 3, 4 kmph?
Whatever it is.
Okay, no, I'm distracting you. Sorry,
this system, any which ways, I don't know. I just feel that the time when most people will want a system like this is when the parking spot is super tight. And most systems in those scenarios will freak out, right? And we'd gone for that drive. It was not a drive. It was a demo of the Harrier at the BIC. And that's where they had set up demos for all these features. And you realize then that the systems are, they're not really intelligent, right? They panic. So like there was this demo of auto reverse. Very helpful idea, which means that you've gone and parked and it's tricky to get out of there. So you use auto reverse and the car drives itself out.
And how does it account for the fact that there was a Maruti 800 there and that guy has left?
So, correct.
And now a Mercedes-Benz E-Class has come and parked and now it is 2 inches closer and 3 inches wider than
Correct. So then the sensors are working. And when that happens, it literally, and this is what happened at the BIC, which is why I'm saying I am not testing the system, because it was the same route in and out. It was a fixed static display. It was like a market scenario that they had created. And we drove in, and while driving out, the car was panicking over stuff that was at the back. There was like a stool, like it was a staged
So how? So okay, so
thela
the
and
car
stuff.
failed the stool test, but how does it go? How does it panic?
Panic in the sense that it's reversing.
Like it starts sweating.
It starts squealing. It's like, ah.
Oh, warnings start happening.
Yeah. So it goes beep, 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 and it breaks. Then it kind of resolves itself that, okay, I can make it through this. And then it starts reversing again. It did this like a couple of times. So, anyways,
So does it come to a stop as it's panicking and
yes,
warning, and then
yes,
it sort of
yes.
recalibrates and then starts moving?
So imagine this, right? It's reversing at a very easy pace. It's not like a
So it is effectively like a brand new driver figuring this stuff out.
exactly, exactly. That's perfect. That is how it is. So it's like a nervous new driver. It can manage it, but it'll do it slowly and very, very carefully. And you feel like, can you manage it or not?
Yeah, so the
Anyways,
fundamental difference here is just remember this: a new driver will learn. Human beings learn patterns and figure out and move forward. Some of them really slowly, and it really annoys me too, but they do. This system, I don't think is going to learn anything. It's going to continue to panic as long as you own this car.
yeah, I don't see how it'll. I mean, maybe the software updates, algorithm changes, whatever. But the point is, all these things aren't the reason. And I'm not talking about this car in specific, any of these cars. You don't buy the cars for these features. They are just there to get your interest. They are not really going to help you and solve your driving life problems with this. It's not going to happen right now. It'll happen someday,
Hmm.
right? It's a long way off for sure. So, anyways, so those kind of things are there. It has a summon feature also, which means it's parked and
And
and you can't open the door to get into the car. That's the scenario. So you press the summon button, and the car drives itself out of the parking spots, and then you can get into it.
so if you go to Connaught Place in Delhi, where the cars are parked like door handle to door handle with a couple of inches in it,
So this time now,
the parking attendant is going to use summon mode on your behalf.
correct.
Oh my God, this is not sounding nice.
So these are all the features that I think this has become like that arms race.
Hmm.
You've done that, so I must do that. That one did that, so that one must do that. And then everybody has to do it. Otherwise, it just feels like, I mean, we as consumers end up saying, "Arey, isme to kuch hai nahi."
Hmm.
That one is giving this. Why are you not giving it? Right? So those are the, I think, thought processes that are driving this features war.
When will a customer say, hey, listen, I understand what the good basics are, and I will not be distracted by all the frippery that you've done, which would give the manufacturer the incentive to say, okay, we have an M-Power, no frippery edition.
Okay, let's see. Now, for instance, which is why I brought out that mid variant of the Harrier, because it seems to be saying exactly that. This is all you need. Everything else above this is you can ignore.
I'm willing to bet it's going to be a low-selling model.
Yeah, so that's on us.
Yeah, no,
That's on
100%.
us.
I am saying this is a two-sided thing, and if this side doesn't understand it, then that side can't do much about it.
That's exactly the problem, which is why I said that I want to take time in this conversation to highlight these points, right? Because unless and until we as consumers are willing to be smart about the decisions we make, then why will somebody make
Yeah.
better cars or
No,
better
100%.
choices available to us?
We have not understood that in India we have too much sun. All cars have roofs. This is the end of this process.
Yeah. So what I was going to come to was when you started talking about this, take BYD. I consider them as the Toyota of the EV world. What you look at Toyotas for, those are the kind of values that BYD brings in EVs. I've complained about BYDs not having single pedal drive and this and that. Like very few features, there's nothing in that. That's trendy or stuff like that. Like the BYDs that we have in India, right? That's because they have gone and just said now, and which is why somebody in this space will shine. Because somebody will say that my values are different and I will stick to those.
Right.
And they have said, we don't want to make a song and dance. We want to make good EVs. And what are BYDs known for? Reliable EVs, reliable range, reliable performance. Full stop. That is what they are. And in this regard, again, BYD born EVs, correct? And this was a conversation that I heard that, oh, this is not a born EV, which is why it has only 120 kilowatts of DC fast charging. Okay. How much does BYD offer in India? Right? At the max, they have 150 kilowatts for the vehicles on sale in India. This has 120 kilowatts. Tata is offering a 7.2 kilowatt AC fast charger, right? Some others offer 11 kilowatts. So again, the inference is that this is not a born EV. Therefore, it can't manage 11 kilowatts. What does BYD offer? 7.2 kilowatts. There's a certain logic behind, and I'm using the BYD example because this is one thing I've understood about BYD through the interactions with the vehicles now. What they want is reliability.
Yep.
What they want is predictability. And as much as fast charging is convenient, regular fast charging or the faster fast charging that you get to, the bigger toll it takes on your batteries. Right? And in this case, it's not, people again infer that NMC chemistry is not good and should not be bought. Just so that you know, this is LFP, but it's cylindrical. It's not prismatic or pouch or whatever, right? So it's that layout. What does it mean? I don't know. I can tell you what range it has. Right? That's about it. It has a lifetime warranty, which means 15 years for the first buyer.
So a lifetime is just 15 years, Karthik.
Registration duration.
So I'm like 3.5 lifetimes old.
Yeah, you know what? This is the one thing that stays with me. Like with petrol diesel vehicles, you never thought of a lifetime as 15 years. You said, yeah, 15 years, then you re-register. But in this, you think that after...
Unless you're in Delhi, then you're screwed. Unless you're in Delhi, then you're screwed.
Then though, forget it. So anyways, the battery pack, these are the inferences that people are making about born EVs versus modified EVs. But that by itself does not say that it's a subpar product or that they've cut corners. There must be a logic as to why they've applied this. And the other thing that must be highlighted is that, Mahindra is offering 200 kilowatts of DC or whatever, something like that. Ability is there. But the thing that I will give them credit for in that born EV conversation is that they went hard on what they were doing with the car to optimize everything for efficiency.
Right.
Which is why they went to e-brakes. And that was what I asked them, because that also had that squishy, you remember? We got to understand how the e-brake actually works. So that there's single point answer. Why does it have e-brakes? Why does it have that super complicated steering, which is so quick and everything? Efficiency. That was the answer. Full stop. And which is why I think the Mahindra has the range advantage. Its largest battery pack is 79 kilowatt hours and whatever. And I think that we've not tested it fully yet, but what I understand and remember, that had more range, and which brings us to the range of this car. So we spent time with it in the city, like flowing traffic, stop-go traffic, went out on the expressway, the Delhi-Mumbai expressway, and did Leopard Trail, drove from Faridabad to Gurugram, and did some hard driving and everything. And in that span, I covered 170 kilometers. The range and the state of charge, all of that will be visible on the screen. And my calculation that I made after I got done was that typically in city conditions, at slow speed conditions, you're seeing it manage about 180 watt hours per kilometer. Right?
Just say how many kilometers will run in the city, na?
Correct. So I'm just giving that number because some people are... One sec. No, because there are some... we have an interesting...
They can do the maths for themselves.
One sec. There's a very interesting audience who are really into EVs, which is why I'm giving those details. I've got feedback. That's why. 180 watt hours in city.
God, we need a part of circles which is like nerd zone, and then all the nerds can be in there.
Some of the feedback, and for EV testing, somebody actually sent a long message saying these like a list of 5 things that should be in your testing procedure for when you're doing EVs. I said, awesome. So
yeah, but that's a test, right? We're just getting a sense of this car for the first time.
180 watt hours, and
I'm getting very harried with this conversation.
And about 200 watt hours when you're on the highway. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I expected the delta between city and highway to be
larger.
More. And this is the Delhi-Mumbai expressway, which means you can sit at 120 kilometers an hour. I was not sitting at 120 kilometers an hour because typically when we are testing here in Mumbai, Pune,
It's a little slower.
the speed limit here is 100.
Yep.
So we said we'll maintain it at that, so it's relatable to what we've done with other vehicles. And so that 200, 205, something like that. Anyways, point being, if you're purely spending time on the highway, you can expect this to manage 350, 360 kilometers on a full charge for the 75 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Okay.
And if you're in mixed conditions, I think 400 is easily doable. And in purely in city, I think 430, 440, that kind of a range,
So roughly a week of usage, you shouldn't have to think about it.
easy. So it's fairly decent range.
Yeah. If you can go 350 kilometers in an electric out on the highway, that's basically an exhaustion stop before a charging stop.
Yeah.
So we are okay.
Yeah. And I'm calling it fairly decent range because we're talking about a large car with a large battery pack. If you had the same kind of range in a smaller car with a smaller battery pack, you'd be saying exceptional, right? That range is solid. The range by itself, that number, I think should put you in a place where you're like, yeah, this is fine.
So if you're saying 400-ish in the real world, then the claimed range is what, 600, 650?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And Tata themselves have this figure that they like
the real world range tech.
Yeah, they call it the C75, which means 75 of the customers, 75% of the customers should be able to get this range. And that number is also, I think, 460 or something like that. So pretty cool.
So range should not be a challenge for this car.
Correct.
Now, it has 120 kilowatt fast charging.
Correct.
Are there 120 kilowatt fast chargers?
Yes.
Always?
Not always.
And if a 120 kilowatt charger has 4 cars already plugged into it, you're number 5, do you get
At a
120?
point 2, so that gets divided. Yeah. The electricity flow.
So what's the point of having 150 kilowatts of fast charge?
I think it's
I think the point that he missed actually, he was getting to it and I distracted him as usual, I think. I'll take the blame on myself, I'm quite happy to. Is the fact that when you strain a battery, batteries as they are today deteriorate a little bit and there is no escaping this.
Yeah.
That means if you and your identical twin brother both bought Harrier EVs and one of you is a calm and smooth driver and the other one is not, over time if you go everywhere together in your own cars, the car that was driven badly will have a slightly lower health on the battery because you strained more the battery higher. If you go out on the highway together and he only plugs into slow chargers and uses slow charging speeds over a long time and you constantly fast charge, again your battery will deteriorate a little bit more than them. This is not escapable today.
Yeah.
ICEs over the last 100 years have become more resistant to this kind of behavior.
Correct.
Where you can drive it badly or drive it well and overall deterioration is quite similar to each other today, but we've not reached there with electric batteries yet.
Yeah.
And in 15 years time, when you have your lifetime warranty about to expire and you say, I need a new battery for your Harrier EV, I don't know that there will be an LFP that they will be able to give you either.
Correct.
No, I don't think even Tata will have the answer today because this is all evolving tech.
Correct. I don't think that is exactly my
take an extreme case.
question.
I think take an extreme case. The nuclear diamond battery becomes real.
Yeah.
Okay, the battery life on that thing is 23,000 years. Take a lifetime warranty if you want.
Yeah. So
what we haven't covered, I'll tell you, is boot space. Is one. We've covered suspension, we've covered brakes, we've covered driving feel. A little bit more if people are getting confused between BE6 Harrier, because I'm assuming that the the Safari will be closer to the XEV in terms of the mental comparison state.
No, I think the Harrier and the 9E is the more direct comparison. While there is a smaller Mahindra and there is a bigger Tata, these two are would be the more direct rivals because the Safari is also the 7-seater.
Got it.
So, okay.
Oh, the XEV doesn't seat 7?
No.
What's the 9 for then?
Sloping roofline, too much. It can't.
So why 9?
So there'll be an XUV 700 electric also. No?
Okay.
So that will do the 7-seat business. Okay, so you brought up boot space, which is a great one. Compromise, because there's a motor under the floor, which means the spare wheel has to sit on top of it, and that eats up into the boot space. And the spare wheel is a temporary, means a space saver. And while Tata is quoting a boot space of 500 liters, there's a asterisk next to that. That's applicable if you have the high-end version of the Harrier, because that gets the third screen in the front, because the mirror is a electronic mirror. It also works like a normal mirror, but it has a screen inside it which gives you a feed from the camera that's sitting on top of the roof, and that works as your reversing cam.
Okay.
Because if you use the 502 liters that they're quoting, that means you have luggage all the way to the roof.
No, the Hyundai marketing measurement.
And if you stack it up to the height of the seat back top, I would say that this is no more than 350 liters.
Is that a non-useful literage?
It's not non-useful, but again, that's what I'm saying. Like every time we go to an EV, there are these trade-offs that you have to keep factoring in.
But you'll put a roof rack. No, what will you lose? 100 kilometers of range from the extra aerodynamic drag.
Correct, from the wind resistance. So that is one of the features that is there on the inside, and that to me was not great. I mean, while the display works fine, the thing is not every now and then, you get quite a few reflections on there. So actually being able to see what's happening in the back at times can be a little uncertain, can get a little hazy because of the reflections. So it's a forced solution. It's not a real solution, right? It's not really solving a problem. It's a problem that's been created, and the solution that's trying to solve that problem, but they're wrapped up into each other.
Sure. Sounds like electrics.
Yeah. So that was the one thing about boot space, and then you mentioned about
Just a direct sense of if you were choosing between an XEV and a Harrier EV,
okay,
which IC EV should you buy?
Before we go there, I think the one last thing was that about I should be talking about this car with more excitement, right?
No, but I don't think so.
No, I'll tell you why. I also thought about it because I like so many things about it. But why am I, aside from that, the worry about glitches, why am I not excited about it? Okay, and I was thinking about it, and it's because we're already so familiar with the Harrier, right? We are familiar with how it looks, and this looks like the Harrier. The only real difference is a little bit to the grille that's closed off. It has that connected LED DRL up front for the charge indication and all of that. The cabin looks the same as the regular Harrier. Few differences here and there in terms of the screen, that IRVM, and I think colors for the seats. Yeah, colors for the seats. Well, that's it. So you get in, and it's immediately such a familiar environment. And when you think now EVs, you're thinking modern and cooler and all of that. And here it feels like, yeah, it's okay. And I think the one thing that Tata could do better on the inside is some of the finishes. It's just like the Harrier, which is to say it's all right. But it could have felt plusher. It could have felt richer.
Do they make a distinction like that on the Nexons?
With the Nexons, no, neither.
On the punches?
No, neither with.
So then they're doing exactly what they normally do?
Correct. Absolutely. But this is the flagship. And so to me,
the Pulsar NS400Z problem.
it needed to push. It needed to push. Right?
And you saw the uppermost models of this car?
Yes.
And you didn't feel like they pushed enough?
No.
Got it.
Because you have a cooler screen. So there is a 14.5-inch screen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But not 15?
No.
Below 15 I have like.
If I remember, 14.5. So the screen, sharp, good, all of that.
Does it rotate 32 different ways?
No. Just fixed.
Thank you, Tata. Yeah. We don't need this.
This is set in landscape mode. And so that's nice, right? Yeah. 14.5, generally you think of it sticking out a lot. This is landscape.
No, nice.
And I think now you use that system and everything is working smooth and clean and easy to access. That was a good plus. Did not feel glitchy, did not get stuck. So that was nice. The sound system. Again, this sound system is available from the mid-spec variant, the JBL, something new pro kind of thing. Really good. We were using it with the Dolby Atmos, so then they also now have Dolby Atmos in the sound system. And I didn't know this. Dolby Atmos, if you're using Dolby Atmos and there's a song like that's been engineered for Dolby Atmos, when it's playing, then you don't have the presets. I mean, you can't use any of the other presets because the sound has been then engineered.
Because Dolby knows more than you.
Yeah, correct. So that was interesting how the software there.
Yeah, but it's true for 4K cinema also. So a lot of new televisions have something called filmmaker mode.
Okay.
And filmmaker mode is a convention, which is if I remember correctly, they got a whole bunch of directors to come together and say, how should your films be shown? because I can put it in sport mode and then everything is too sharp and too bright. And similarly, audio, you can do voice, highlight voice because you're listening to news or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So filmmaker mode is a mode where the brightness, the color levels, etc., is predefined. And it is supposed to present the film as it is supposed to be shown. And obviously, they can't even control that fully, because what if you have like a 100-watt bulb in the room versus a dimly lit room where the light is hidden? So there is still game there. But filmmaker mode's job is to say, I know how to do this the best, which is what Dolby Atmos is clearly doing to you too.
So yeah, what else? Charging we spoke about, AC fast charging, which means on the larger battery packs, I mean any of the battery packs is about 11 hours from 20 to, sorry, from 10 to 100. The DC fast charging time on a 100 kilowatt charger, as claimed by Tata, is 25 minutes, 20 to 80.
Got it.
So that's pretty solid as well. So I think the real stumbling block for me with EVs continues to be, now that the range is at this healthy point, is that my question is, will I find chargers? Will I find fast enough chargers? Will I find chargers that are active, right? Which really keep you from saying that, let's go out and move with this thing, right? So as compelling, and we're getting to a point where EVs are getting compelling in terms of value, in terms of range, in terms of, it is especially nice to see the drivability aspect of it, the rationality of it. So that was good. But the question still remains for me for EVs is, will I be able to use it as easily as I would like?
Okay, you can help us answer this. So I'm assuming that you're watching this on the app. And if you are, on Kartikeya's profile will be a question saying, how do you charge your EVs? This will be a post. And what I want you to do is look at your electric and how you use it and answer two questions. One, how do you charge your electric every day, assuming you're only using your home charger? What's your pattern? So let's say that I'm saying that this car has 440 kilometers of range and I drive 300 kilometers a week. So in theory, if I charge it every Sunday, we are good. But is that what you do? Or do you come in every day and plug in your car for charging? Because in my building, I see two Nexons. One of them is always plugged in. Whenever it is parked, it is plugged in. And the other one never seems to be plugged in. So obviously that person has a different method than this person. So we'd just like to know, what is your most common way to do this? Because to me, a car that takes 11 hours to get from 20 to 100, it sounds ridiculously long, but that's roughly the amount of time you come home and stay. But do you like the idea of starting every day with a 100% charge or not, is a mind state. And I want to understand that mind state. Second, if you've traveled out of town with your electric, whether it is a very common trip like Mumbai to Pune, which is a 130-40 kilometer run, or you've done a longer distance trip, and we know that people in circles who've given us reports on this, how do you plan and manage your charging, and how convenient do you think these solutions are? Whether you're using an app, whether you're using Google to figure out where the chargers are and then stopping again and again to see if the chargers are available or not, whether you're facing issues saying it says 120 on the board, but now that 5 cars are plugged in, I'm getting 10. Whatever these these challenges are, what your solutions are, how you plan this, I'd like to know, because so far, every single travel story I have seen where an electric has been featured, it talks about charging. Whereas when people travel on ICEs, they travel and talk about the people they met, the places they saw, and how pretty everything was, etc., etc.
Correct.
And it is very rare in certain parts of the world where fuel itself is a conversation, where saying it wasn't available. Because remember, worst case scenario, you'll usually find somebody with a plastic bottle full of petrol that you can buy at a ridiculous price all over the earth. Bottling electricity so far has not worked. So I'm not being snarky about it. I really want to know. So Karthik's profile will have a post which will simply say, how do you charge your electric? These are the two questions that we would like answered.
And this is the scenario that I'm waiting for. That where you get to an electric vehicle, you drive it, and you just say, it's a good vehicle.
Yeah.
It's whether it's electric or not should not matter. The point is that it'll deliver on everything that you want and expect from a good car.
Yeah.
Full stop.
It should do what a car does.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, I see EVs. Today, this will change. Electrics will solve it. I have no doubt about it. I'm super optimistic about it. But if you were to try and argue with me that they have reached that point today, that means you're doing a very small amount of things with your vehicle. As soon as you expand the scope, it does not today do the same thing.
Couple of things quickly before we wrap this up. ADAS, it has.
Good, bad, ugly?
Switch it off.
Great.
The only thing I can say in that is it should stay switched off, which is the thing that I would want in a system like this.
And it doesn't.
And it doesn't switch off everything. Everything doesn't say switched off. Some of the things seem to turn back on. They're saying that we could do it, but there's some protocol because of which they haven't done it. And I think it should be able. I mean, you should be able to switch it off on the go. These are the things that I really, really would want. I brought it up
So you
because
can't say, hey, Tata, turn all ADAS functions off.
voice command. Wow, you're really combining my two strengths, aren't you? So, the reason I'm bringing up ADAS again is because there was a very nice conversation about ADAS on one of our videos, and where people were talking about themselves as users of ADAS. And what I loved about it was each one of them, in their own way, kind of identified, saying that I understand that it is an assistance system. And that's a great point. I loved reading that as much as they were saying that, come on, you
This
guys
is
are
on
being.
Circles.
No, I think this was on YouTube.
Okay.
But they were saying that you're being hard on the system. I think this is about the one of the Mahindras that you're talking about ADAS, no, it's useful. But each one of the people there said that I understand that it is a driver assistance system. So my hands have to be on the wheel. I have to be paying attention. And I thought, if that's the baseline, if
No,
that
it's
were
not.
to be the
That may be Motoring's audience's baseline.
if that were to be the baseline, ace, then we don't need to talk about it.
Dude, just go to one of these more casual social platforms, therefore not Circles, and Google Mahindra ADAS Reels.
ठीक है. I'm just saying that, which is why I wanted to discuss this, that you choose to use it. That's awesome. I think the system is fairly smooth. This time when I did have it on, I remember it being intrusive earlier. That was not the case this time. It felt cleaner.
So calibrations have come forward.
Yeah, in fact, what I remember was that I could drive this for much longer without wanting to switch it off. Eventually I did, because I don't like the steering, because then you don't know whether you're the one who's giving the inputs, and the steering feel aspects of it you can't really make out then. So that's when I switched it off. So I managed for a fair bit with the system on and without it getting in the way. But if you choose to use it, let us know what it feels like. We'll test it as well. ADAS is done. Settings are done. And that leaves me with, if I remember, I'll tell you. Chal.
Okay, before we go into quick summary, Karthik, I have a QQWD question about quad wheel drive.
Go on, man.
What does it do? What the
I completely missed out on that.
That's okay.
So,
It's not like a lot of Harrier electric owners are going to find themselves mud plugging somewhere.
no, this is definitely not an off-road vehicle. All-wheel drive. So, primarily, it's the rear motor that's doing the work.
So, mostly it's a rear wheel drive biased car.
Correct. In fact, more often than not, there's this display in the driver's instrument cluster which shows you which way the energy is flowing. So, in that, you could see that most of the times, it's the rear wheel drive motor that's working.
Do you know, sorry, I have to do this. Do you know why they usually call it the multi-information console rather than the driver information console?
Why?
Because the abbreviations create a very, very distracting abbreviation if you say driver's instrument console.
Okay.
See, you hadn't thought of that. Now, sorry, you were saying that in the driver's display there's a
display for which way the power is flowing. So most of the times, power is going to the rear wheels.
And nothing to the front at all.
Nothing to the front.
Got it.
Which is why they've got two different kinds of motors also. And this will be another one of those conversations that they've got a PMSM motor at the back and the front is an induction motor, and that's less efficient, that's less expensive, and therefore, yes, that is an advantage, but it's also from the standpoint of what is suited to what. Since the front motor is largely an assist motor, the induction motor is fine for that, because it won't create any drag torque. If you think about the PMSM, it's always got...
Yep, that's why pushing a scooter is so difficult. Electric scooter, if you turn it off and try to push it, the PMSM motors always cause drag. It makes the scooter harder to move.
Right. So it's better for that usage. It does come on if you accelerate hard. It will come on if you're on inclines. And even in that, you can't feel when the front is kicking in and when it's working with the rear. You can't tell that.
It's like a viscous coupling.
It's a really...
In feel. It's like a viscous coupling in feel.
So it's invisible. In viscous, you can still feel torque transfer and all. Like in this, you can't even tell when that transition. If I couldn't see the display, I wouldn't have been able to tell
Got it.
when it's happening. Like on the incline, uh, I realized it was a light throttle. So when I started accelerating, both motors were working. And as soon as we got certain amount of momentum, the front went off.
Got it.
So it's a very efficient way of using all-wheel drive. It's not that sporty mode. When it needs to, it will kick in. The thing that the front motor is doing, which I saw, was that regen-wise, when you every time you step on the brakes, that's when you see the front motor really kick in and use the regen as well to slow you down. Otherwise, when you're just doing normal coasting regen, like when you're not using the brakes, basically, then it's the rear motor that's doing the work of creating regen. And regen also, there is no single pedal in this. There are 3 levels. Level 3 is, I think, what would be good for stop-go city traffic because it is strong, but it still doesn't bring the car to a halt. You have level 2, which would be like, let's say, intermediate highways kind of situation, and level 1 where it's much easier for, let's say, really coasting out there. So the regen is also okay. And Tata is saying that we're not going to do single pedal because already it's being clamped down in China. So apparently from 2026, China is going to ban single pedal driving.
What happened?
The safety. They're saying that people are using.
Oh, they forget to learn to use the brakes. Yeah, it makes sense.
They're also, I think, running much closer and further in the envelope because they're expecting it to work. And in an emergency, it may not be enough. So that way, so it's gone to the other end of the.
No, I understand it because to me, you've gained a convenience. And basically, in an emergency situation, you're saying, I have to come out of my convenience to help and intervene. And that's not natural for human beings to do.
So that's why they're saying that we are not looking at this. Yeah, so that's the.
Are they exporting this car to China?
No.
What difference does it make if China bans single pedal driving or not?
Agreed. 100% agreed.
This argument is circumstantial at best.
Yeah. Basically, then the conversation, I think it's from the standpoint that
there is data to say it doesn't work.
Like it's not something worth developing, or let's say eventually you will not need this anyways. So why spend time on it? It's from a product development standpoint.
That is an argument I'd buy. Not that China isn't doing it. Okay, fair enough. What are you looking at me for?
This can't be a quick summary.
Of course it can.
All right, let's go.
No, there's somebody who commented on Circles saying your quick summaries aren't so quick no more. It's time for the quick summary, and Karthikeya has said there's so much going on in this car that we cannot make it short, and I'm going to say, yes, you can. There's only a few things you need to know about the Tata Harrier electric vehicle, the Tata Harrier EV. The first of them is, according to Karthikeya, this is the best Tata there is on the market right now, which is a huge compliment. Before this, among the Tata electrics, it was the Punch EV, the Punch EV as I like to call it, which was considered the best of the Tata electrics. This time he has said unqualified, this seems to be the best Tata car of all. Now, let's quickly run through what has not changed. The interior of the Tata Harrier EV is going to feel very similar to the ICE versions of the Harrier, which is not necessarily a bad thing because this was already a very comfortable and reasonably well-equipped car. What Karthikeya was hoping for is because this is the electric and the electric flagship for the moment, etc. Tata should have put in a little bit more effort into the materials and the finishes and brought the quality and that sensation of having bought a premium electric a little bit further along. That would have been nice to have. Was a comfortable cabin, still is. Good music system, huge 14-inch screen, which basically says the cabin will fundamentally work. What may not work for you is the boot space. Remember, this is a car with 2 motors, one on the front axle, one on the rear axle, and therefore all wheels are driven. I'll explain that in a minute. But what that also means is that the boot floor has risen higher because underneath there is a motor and a spare wheel, which is a space saver, of course. And the measurement that you'll hear, some 500 something liters, is only the top model and only if you fill the luggage all the way to the top. Unusable boot, no. Spacious boot, also no. Second thing we need to know is this is a very, very heavily modified platform versus the ICE Harrier. To account for the battery packs, you get a 65 and a 75 kilowatt hour battery. These are the 2 versions. We've only driven the 75. This car is about 600 kilos heavier, And to accommodate that weight, Tata has basically had to put all new suspension in all the four corners effectively. They've made so many changes to the chassis for crash protection, for strength, for rigidity, etc. You might as well think of it as a brand new platform. This is always going to be a gray area when they say we evolved a platform. Manufacturers will take a stand saying we've made so many changes that you might as well think of it as new. You can argue this out, but the point is effectively they've created a new car and they've done a good job of it. So the ride quality on poor surfaces, Karthik S's approach is velvety, which is a huge compliment for a car this size. In harder conditions where you're driving harder, you're pushing the car harder, it stays controlled and composed for the most part, which is an excellent thing to do. And when you go over bumps, like for example, a small speed breaker that you didn't spot, the car remains controlled and comfortable, second row as well as first row, which is an excellent achievement. Expectation wise, when you drive the Harrier EV, you're going to be surprised by how comfortable everything feels. And we're not adding the factors of the silence in the cabin because it's an electric and all that, doesn't matter. Next, performance. This is a restrained electric with a lot of performance. And I want to explain both sides to you because this car technically has 310 horsepower, but it never feels like it has 310 horsepower. That's not a bad thing. What it means is when you select the lowest mode, which is called Eco, it will feel like a car that is easy to drive, it works with you and it doesn't surprise you. When you go up to the top mode, which is called Sport, it is a more energetic car and it will still let you do stuff, but you have to press the boost button on the dash before it goes into the full power mode where it can go a little bit nuts. And even then it's a more comfortable and restrained kind of nuts than, for example, what the Mahindras will do in those kind of conditions. Overall, in that sense, Tata's product seems to be a little bit more mature, where Tata says we have brand values and we'll continue to meet those values. And the Harrier EV sits on the same continuum as the Harrier IC does in those ways. And if you think about it, this is their playbook. The Punch and the Punch EV, not very different from each other in this particular regard. And the Nexon and the Nexon EV also not very different from each other in this regard. Finally, it comes to price. This is a reasonably well priced car. 20.5 lakh rupees is where the
21.5 is where
21.5 is where the prices start, and some of the bottom models are also very, very well equipped. Karthik pointed out that the middle model, which is called the Empower or something, we will put the name up, that is the car to consider, where all the gimmickry is not there, but all the fundamentals that you need to live comfortably with the car are there. Final point obviously is range. This is a reasonably rangy car. Again, we only drove the top model. Tata says expect about 460 kilometers for the average driver, 75% of their customers as it were. Karthikeya says easily 400 pluses are possible. Home charging, you need 11 hours to get from 10% to 100, which is reasonable. And because it's not a super fast home charger, the deterioration in the battery over a really long time span, that is an important reason for you to think really long time span. I'll come to that. Similarly, fast charging, 120 kilowatts is the maximum fast charging that you can access. The reason for this is this car has the lifetime battery warranty for the first owner, and that means Tata will back up the battery for 15 years. If you want your battery to actually last 15 years, you don't want to overuse fast charging. You don't want to put too much strain in the battery if you're trying to make it last. The final point I want to make is today's electrics are not mature technology yet. It is maturing technology. Will Tata actually be able to give you an LFP battery pack replacement in 15 years' time? I don't think so. Batteries will have moved on. Superior batteries will have come, more range, more charging, more stability, etc., will have happened. So these real time spans, don't take it any more seriously than you should take the gimmicky features. So you can summon the car and it can auto park itself and auto reverse. This is all very nice to tell your friends that I bought this cool car that does all of this stuff. Will you actually ever use these functions is something you need to think about, because it's your hard-earned money that you're going to put into it. To me, the Harrier EV should empower you to have a good experience. It should not make you fearless.
Nice.
That's the quick summary. It can be done.
Two things in the conversation that I remembered. One is people might assume that the only rear-wheel drive variant will offer considerably longer range.
Sorry, let me just finish the all-wheel drive also.
Okay.
And the only thing I missed so far, Karthik has just reminded me, is all-wheel drive. This car has something called quad-wheel drive. They're not touching the word all-wheel drive because it has different technical connotation. You should think of this as a car that is primarily rear-wheel drive, and some of the variants are rear-wheel drive. They do not have the second motor. The second motor is an induction motor, not PMSM like at the back. And the reason for that is, think of it as a support motor that kicks in certain conditions to help with certain tasks. So when you're trying to climb and it needs to get that initial part of the acceleration going, that motor will be active. When you hit the brakes and regen is required, that motor will be active. But it is not constant all-wheel drive. It is an assistant motor that kicks in here and there. The only way you can tell is the little display in front of the driver where the direction of force arrows sort of appear and colors change, and you can tell now the front worked and now the front didn't. Most of the time you're enjoying a rear wheel drive experience with assistance coming from the front when required, which is why the motors aren't matched to each other, although both have significant horsepower numbers.
Yeah. Awesome.
So it can be done.
So I was saying that people might assume that the rear wheel drive only variant, which is also with the same battery pack, will have significantly longer range. Even if you see Tata's quoted figures, that's not the case. Because what you have to remember is that it's not consuming energy all the time. It's only consuming energy when needed. It's just extra weight that's sitting there. So it's not going to be dramatically longer range. It will give you maybe 20-30 kilometers more as compared to the all-wheel drive, which is roughly, I think, what they are indicating.
If your rear world range is 400 and you need 20, 30, 40 more kilometers, bro.
Huh. No, so and also I think if you're looking to buy this, do you need all-wheel drive? No, I think most people, the rear-wheel drive will be fine. I think, which is why again the mid-spec variant with the rear-wheel drive and the 75 kilowatt-hour battery pack makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Any more thoughts?
No, sir. That is awesome. I'm glad that yeah, this has taken quite a bit of time, but I'm glad we could talk everything out.
What's next?
For me, the next is the Clavis, Kia Carens Clavis EV.
Dude, I don't think the title bar is enough space for the car's name now.
It's really it's stretched out now.
Why? Okay, we'll discuss it next time. And after that?
As of now, that's it. We've got something else, which was that second thing, which would have been a surprise kind of thing.
Okay, that's still under
pending.
wraps.
Yeah, that's still pending, waiting for it. Okay, what about
The 300-seater Force Urbania.
Yeah, Volvo B7R, right? I would love to do that. Only, I don't think that will come in a white plate. What about you?
We have to do the 250 Adventure next. For those who are asking, where is the Scram 440 again and again, and honestly, we don't know. Royal Enfield has now indicated that test bikes should be on their way, but they have not arrived yet. We just finished the NS400Z. That story, if you have missed it for any reason, will be on the app, free to watch. Then we have the RTR 310 update from TVS that should be incoming. I believe that the next thing from TVS after that is supposedly the RTX 300, which is what we are calling the EDV. I don't know what they're calling it yet. That's TVS. Yamaha FZ Hybrid is supposedly available for testing. Would you like us to do a MotorInc First on that? Because to me, it's effectively a FZ with a version of the Fasino's hybrid system. Does it deserve a MotorInc First? Please do leave us a comment and we'll find out what the opinion seems to be, and we're quite happy to do it if you think that it is worth it. By the time we wrap up all of this, I suspect that the KTM 390 SMC-R should be here. If you're interested in that motorcycle, I believe a few people in Europe and a few people in the US do seem to have access to the 390 SMC-R. So some initial stories have started coming out. I'll at least give you a sense of what this bike is. Just remember, they're getting the spoked 17-inch wheels there. We are likely to get the Duke's alloys here, so there will be a little bit of a difference. I think so, my guess. So wait for it. I believe the next Triumph 400 should also be now around the corner, which is the Cafe Racer. I don't know whether they're going to call it the Thruxton or something else or whatever. I have no clue. But I think that bike is also around the corner, is what I am aware of as of today.
All right.
And towards the end of August, I think Ather has their community day also, where they definitely announce new software. I don't know if there's a new product that they're announcing also. Things will change for Ather because they've gone from being a startup to a listed company now. So stuff will change. And if you're expecting the Ola Roadster review, you should not from us. We will not be testing Olas until they improve their customer support. And we clearly see a change where more Ola customers are happy with their products than disappointed. Until that situation changes, we have no interest in Ola's products.
All right.
That's it.
Cool, hey?
Yeah?
Okay.
All right. I hope we've answered all your questions on the Harrier EV. If we haven't, please do leave us a comment. We answer more or less all of our comments, but in priority order, you'll get the fastest responses on the app. On the app, threaded conversations are also easier for us to track, which means you asked us something, we answered something, and then you wanted something more from it. This conversation is easier to find, track, and respond to on the app for us. So if you wanted to have a longer conversation, please do try the free MotorInc app for this. In circles, you can leave a comment on the video, etc. It doesn't matter where on the app, but that's why it's easy for us to do. YouTube, we answer most of our comments. It's a little bit harder to do. You can leave your comments there. Instagram and Twitter are harder for us right now because the volume of comments on the app is quite high. Circles is a little difficult for us to monitor. The traffic is quite a bit. So if you're asking questions on DMs on Instagram, I honestly will tell you, don't expect an answer anytime soon. It's probably not going to happen. That's where we are at. This has been MotorInc First. Thank you so much for watching. We are celebrating 100+ episodes. We don't know what the actual number is, strangely enough, but we are celebrating 100+ episodes. All of these episodes are free to watch on the MotorInc app. The MotorInc app is free to download. If you think there's a vehicle in there that you've missed out on, you want to catch up on and see what our perspective was, it's a really useful tool. All MotorInc First, all 100 of them have chapters and you can navigate. All of them have quick summaries, more or less. You can navigate to it. Awesome. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching.